Okay, this one's called TV Dinner. There were 22 different sauces, vegetables, salads that I could add to my shawarma. I liked the ambience the little hole in the wall had. 85p for a dinner couldn't be beat, and the bar opposite's outside seats were normally full of a young lively group of Quito's elite. Students, artists, what amounts to Latin American hipster crowd, so a good spot for people watching while you eat. I couldn't wait. I needed to bite into the meat. The bread and the heat was a joy in my mouth, but just then I sensed a sudden hush behind me and turned to see. I didn't want to miss the opening credits of whatever tonight's show might be. Looking up, my mouth full, garlic sauce pooled at my lips, edges unlicked away. I saw the confused disarray of young youths scattering out of the way, tables pushed to one side, and tonight's protagonists taking centre stage. It seemed two groups of young men were in a certain amount of disagreement. One group had 4, the other 3, all intent on showing their superiority. I continued chewing, viewing what felt a lot like free live TV. Initially, it seemed like it might end in punctured egos, maybe a broken nose, like a bad episode of EastEnders, but not as dark as Hollyoaks. But then a few more fists were thrown. The tension was rising. I sipped at my Fanta, took one more bite of my kebab, and kept my eyes on the action. Then a little blood began to flow. I'd misjudged the tone. I wasn't a superhero action show with no real losers. This was a gritty foreign drama, and I was in the front row. 2 of the 3 were beaten by the force of the larger side. The tide had turned. One team had won. Those 2 were quick to turn and run, which just left 1. 4 against 1. I had stopped eating by then, but I held the rest of my food as tightly as the characters' interactions held my attention. Stood still, like all the others standing by, but unwilling to be a hero, especially now as bravery still meant uneven teams, odds not good. 4 against 2 for someone you don't know. I like to think nobody would. They moved in on him as he stood alone back to the wall. With a panicked clutch, he tore a vial from his inside pocket. Mace. The closest of his attackers took it full in the face and screamed, clutching at his eyes and falling back away. The others paused, but 2 more of them went the same way. His eyes bulged with a fierce pride. His shoulders dropped in a relaxed tide of comfort. Ha! He laughed. He actually laughed. He thought he had won. He thought he'd saved himself. So did we all. The underdog had overturned the odds. All he needed now was a backstory to explain why the mace was in his pocket in the first place. But there was one final act. Rather than take this opportunity to make his escape and run, he draped himself in the glory, holding them off one by one until the 4th realized what might work, picked up a rock, and with one throw wiped the smile from his face, leaving a deep cut and blooded cheek in his face. I've never felt my stomach heave as it did just then, as I watched a man realize that he had no way to defend himself from 4 men he'd just violently assaulted with stinging mace. Their coughs, tears, and pain now mixed with taunts and jeers. His hope expired. His confidence, a fast-burning fire, extinguished. Looking wildly about for a glimpse of help and finding nothing but concerned faces like a studio audience present but not participating, he leapt the small wall in front of him and ran, vial dropping from his hand, its power drained. The 4 followed him with such rage and intent that it was clear to me and all who'd spent those 3 minutes watching everything that led to that rock hitting the side of his head, that he is now dead. That was what the director left in no doubt with the obligatory silent, empty street shot. The aftermath was a bit of a slow burn, like watching adverts waiting for the good stuff to return. Someone called the police, people hustled and bustled, and a few even started to go after them, but it couldn't compete with what I'd just seen. And my brain moved on, turned away from the screen. So I finished the rest of my dinner and, as if nothing had happened, treated myself to an ice cream.